BBC Fan TV. Oh, the international breaks are in full swing. I'm very bored as usual. No football, I hate that. But one good thing to talk about is that England have qualified for the 2018 World Cup. That's fantastic news. My opinion, whether we're going to do very well in that competition, I don't know. I would be very surprised if we did. We haven't, for some reason, you know, the Premier League is the best league in the world in my opinion, but we just don't seem to do very well as a country. But I'm hoping Gareth Southgate can do some good. So yeah, we'll see how that pans out. But more important news, and there's not really a lot going on at the moment to be fair, but one thing I did find interesting is Oscar. I don't know if you've seen the reports. We all know he went to the Chinese Super League and left us after being with Chelsea for years. I have to say I was an avid Oscar fan at the start, most definitely. I think everybody knew he was my favourite player. I think I had him as my background on Twitter when I was younger and all that rubbish. But reports are saying that he is happy to make a return to Stamford Bridge. He said, I'm young, I'm only 26, and if the Blues would have me back, then I would happily go. Unfortunately, for the majority of you fans that I've seen on Twitter, you're not happy about that. I think a couple of things to mention about Oscar first. He's scored some great goals for us. The one that particularly stands out for me was one against Juventus. I mean, he's definitely got so much talent, hasn't he? But when he was playing for Chelsea, I think maybe in definitely the last year for the club, many fans found him inconsistent. I would say so, that is true, but I think it was more like his work rate and his work effort is 100% there. Like, he was probably sometimes the only player I could see that just runs everywhere, like, up and down the pitch, you know, start to finish. But in terms of actual impact on the game, he didn't really make much. He didn't really make enough in the end, and I think that's why the club and all the fans were sort of, you know, happy for him to leave in the end. And I don't think it was anything sour. He didn't leave on bad terms, which was great. But I think a return now is sort of, I mean, it's irrelevant, isn't it? We don't need him anymore. And I think sometimes players are great in their years at Chelsea, and then sometimes that time passes. I think you could even speak of the likes of Ivanovic. 100% our best player for years, in my opinion. He was, you know, somebody I look forward to watching. He's probably the only player at one point, I can't remember, maybe a couple of years, maybe 2-3 years ago, that I would actually trust fully to put in the team and know that he's definitely not going to make a mistake. But even that came to an end, do you know what I mean? So I think there's a time and a place, and I think unfortunately that time's passed. I'll read you some of the comments on Twitter that I've found from you fans, and none of them are positive, unfortunately. Can't believe some of our fans want Oscar back is one of them. Why is Oscar even on my timeline? That's a little bit it's a little bit much for me, but you know, each to their own. William to go if Oscar comes in. I don't think William would leave, but I mean, it's sort of the question of where does he play? Our midfield is fantastic. We've got Pedro, we've got Willian, we've got Bakayoko and Kante working well together now. Hazard obviously isn't going anywhere, and we're obviously not going to take out, I mean, I wouldn't take out any of those players to put Oscar in the team. And we've got our wing backs now, and I think we've sort of changed our form since Oscar's left, and I just don't think he's going to fit in with our formation. I don't think he's going to fit in with the club anymore. So like I said, I think there was a time for him to be great for us. He scored some goals. He did super well when he was with us, and then until probably the last year, I think he probably made the right decision to leave. If he wants to return to the Premier League, then I'm sure there's a lot of clubs that would have him, and I think this is sort of definitely a message to other young footballers, if you want. You know, an offer from a Chinese Super League for all that money, although it may sound good, I think when you're young, you want to be playing in other leagues, you want to be playing in the Premier League, you want to be playing, you know, I mean, at a stretch, I would say, even go and play in Spain or Germany. I think, you know, moving to China is a huge like step. It's a completely different lifestyle, and I think you've really got to be prepared for it. So I think when you go, you really need to be coming towards the end of your career. And you know, that's a decision made, otherwise I think you'll just be going back and forth. Okay, last one I found is Luiz and Moses aren't near as inconsistent as Oscar was. I'd agree with that, actually. I don't see how Moses is that inconsistent, to be honest. I thought he was fantastic last season, and he hasn't had as much game time this season. But I definitely can see where you're talking, where that's coming from with Luiz, because Luiz offers a lot of attacking force, which is very rare in a defender, but he does make these stupid mistakes. With Oscar, I don't feel like he made mistakes as a whole. I just think his impact on the pitch was sometimes it just was non-existent. So it's not like he got sent off in loads of games. It's not like he made silly tackles. It was just simply that he didn't really make enough of an impact on the game when he was there. So yeah, comment below, guys. Would you like to see Oscar back at the club? I can safely say I was once a big fan of Oscar. I still think he's a great footballer, but the time he had at Chelsea has been and gone, and I think it's just now time for him to move on. We've moved on. We've got a fantastic team, and unfortunately, I don't think he's going to fit in. But comment below. Feel free to disagree with me. Do you want Oscar to come back to Stamford Bridge next year, or the year after, or any time in the future, in fact?